Everybody knows how important utility is in Counter-Strike, but not everybody knows how to use it in the best way possible. And so in this video, I want to talk about why you don't understand utility, and even if you think you do, why you really don't. And hopefully by the end of this video, you'll be a lot better at it. So I suppose we'll just jump right in, because when I say that you don't understand utility, a lot of people would like to challenge me, and they'd probably say, but Austin, I do understand utility. I know how to throw a jungle smoke on Mirage. I know how to smoke stairs. And while that is important when it comes to utility usage, it's not the only way that you can throw your nades, and there's so many ways that you need to improve your utility, and I want to talk about it right after a quick word from our sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by SkinsMonkey. SkinsMonkey is a site where you can trade skins that you already have to get some skins that you might want. That way you can hop into your next game with some fresh new skins. All you have to do is log into the site through Steam, put in the skins that you don't want anymore, grab the skins that you do, and then click trade. Trades happen almost immediately, and any balance that you don't use in the trade will roll over for a trade that you might do in the future. Right now you can get a free $5 if you were to use code Austin on the site, and if you were to use my code, you would get an additional 5% on top of the 30% deposit bonus. So let's say if you deposit $100, that means you would get $135 if you use my code to deposit. So make sure you guys check out SkinsMonkey, and let's get right back into the video. At an entry level, a lot of people don't use their grenades effectively. For example, you might get into a position where you're out Tetris here and you have a full belt of utility and you don't use it because you don't know any lineups from here. Well, how can I use my utility in this situation? I don't know any lineups. And that's exactly what I mean, which is that higher level players are always going to be able to make a situation advantageous for themselves just by throwing utility, even when they don't know lineups. And for example, any tier 1 pro that would be stuck in this situation Tetris probably does have lineups. For example, they could smoke jungle like this or whatever it may be. But what I mean is that they're going to be able to find a way to give themselves an advantage. They might throw a lurk smoke in front of Tetris. What does this do? This is something that they come up with on the fly. So this did not require a lineup, and it allows them to sneak around here. Now they have some interesting angles that they can use. If somebody were to peek upstairs, until they see what the smoke looks like, they're not going to know what possible angles exist. So they might peek into an angle that you're holding, and therefore you can have an advantage over them. And that's what I'm saying. You know, they might be able to do this. They might be able to make a pop flash off of the wall. There's so many options that they can do, but lower level players, they don't know how to throw their nades. And I can actually expand upon this a little bit farther. There's an example that I've loved to use for years and years, which is the being stuck concept. Now I know people might want to laugh at that because being stuck is kind of a funny thing these days, but whenever you get stuck in a situation, what can you do to get out? If you have utility, you should have no excuse for coming up with a way to get out of a situation. So let me give you the example. So if I'm stuck Tetris on T side, let's say I planted the bomb and I know that there's somebody connector and I know that there's somebody jungle. If you are a lower level player, what are you going to do? Well, first things first, you're going to panic. And the second thing that you're going to do is you're going to peek the angles because you want to win. But the problem with doing it this way is that you're not using your utility to your advantage. So you really are in a 1v2, but you can use utility to level the playing field. So again, let's expand upon that. All right, so a lower level player, I tell them to use their nades. So the first thing that they do is they throw a flash like this, and then they're like, aha. But the problem is that this still isn't exactly what I mean. It's a good start, but a flash like this, unfortunately, just is not going to blind this person in connector, and it's just not going to get the job done. So they might think, oh, well, I throw a smoke in front of myself. That way I can breathe. Also a good start, but it doesn't actually allow you to do anything other than peek from a different angle. You know, it's not a bad idea, but there's something that a higher level player would do, which is that they understand trajectories. So what I mean by that is that you would be in this situation, you know, watching a pro, and when they're stuck and they know that there's people there, they might come up with something on the fly. They would throw a smoke off the wall here. What does this smoke do? Well, they know because of how the trajectory is going to land, this is going to smoke off jungle cross, which immediately handles both of their problems. And so now they're able to go wherever they want. They can come close. They can go to default. They can go to CT. So many options because they free-handed a smoke, because they just can. And you might think, Austin, that's fantastic. This is a lineup. No, it's not a lineup. Higher level players will always be able to manufacture their own lineups on the fly. That's what I mean when I say you don't understand. Understanding utility is more than just lineups. You won't ever see a professional player get in a situation and go, I need to smoke connector, quick. Okay, was it this line or this line, and aim in the sky, No, nobody does that because that's not actually how lineups work. There isn't really a ton of lineups at the highest level apart from executes. Like I said at the beginning of the video, the stairs and jungle smoke, those things have their place. Those are set executes. But when you're in a situation where you have to think for yourself on the fly, you're going to have to come up with lineups in your head, or you're going to have to freestyle some things. And so You might think, Austin, that's fantastic, but how am I going to practice that? And what I would say to you is that if you want to practice how to throw utility and learn trajectories, you go into an offline server. This is what I did for years and years. You know me as the nade guy these days, but the reason I became that way is because I would go into a server and I would create an imaginary situation in my head. I know it sounds silly, but if you really want to be good at the game, sometimes you have to do things like that. So let's say that I'm going to be in a 1 versus 3 and I just planted the bomb, I got a smoke, I got a molly. What am I going to do to get out of the situation? These are the kind of things you need to do to practice utility. Okay, so the first thing that I think of is I'm going to Molotov outside a door. That way nobody can come out the door, they can't come to empty. All right, great. Now I need to use the smoke to find some room to breathe. The first thing that I think of is I'm going to throw a smoke like this. What is that I just did? Is that a lineup? No, I just came up with that right now for the video. What it allows me to do though is it's going to allow me to creep up here and get some angles on Cat. It might even let me sneak around here and catch this person market off guard, because these smokes are yours to play around. These are not lineups. All right, I think you guys kind of get the idea when it comes to that. So let's move on to another bad habit that a lot of people have, which is that a lot of people mindlessly throw grenades. So what does that mean? Well, if you play Mirage at any level, you might see a very bad habit that some people have, which is to come A and throw this flash every single round over. And you might think, Austin, of course that's a good flash. I'm blinding the A players. But is it? I mean, think about it. If you're an A player on CT side and every round you're coming out of spawn and the second you get here, yes, this is literally when it pops, you're like, well, they just half blinded me. I'm going to keep going because the timing's not different. I mean, I barely got blind. All right, well, I don't see anything. Business as usual. Well, after like the 7th round of you throwing that flash every single time, they're not going to think anything of it. And you're just wasting a flash. I mean, the idea of throwing a flash is you want to make sure that you're using it. And this is actually a flash that's quite the opposite. The enemy team can use this against you. If you're throwing a flash like this every single time that you go to Lurk Palace, not only is it not achieving anything except for telling them that you're there, if you were to ever not go towards A, it's a pretty clear tell that something's wrong. For like, again, if I'm throwing this flash every time I go A, and one time my IGL is like, let's rush B. All right, cool. Wait, that flash didn't get thrown. Now the guy on A is like, well, normally the guy that comes A just flashes every round. So wait, guys, it could be B. And I'm serious. It's not that hard to draw that conclusion based off of just playing a pug. At any level, people can understand that. Now, maybe you're a more experienced player. Maybe you're level 5, level 6 on Face It, and you're thinking, Austin, this video, I understand this pretty well. I would never waste my grenades, but let me challenge you on this. Maybe you're a connector player on Mirage. What do you throw at the beginning of every round? You throw a connector smoke. Well, why do you throw this connector smoke? I'll throw the actual lineup. Why do you throw the connector smoke every round? Well, because if they come out top mid, this allows me to fight. It allows me to come, underpass, and I can peek them, right? But you don't need to throw that smoke if the person window doesn't take contact. For example, if my opera comes here, I don't see anything, and you're still going to smoke bottom con because you're wasting your nades. You're not playing off of the info around you. You're mindlessly throwing utility. Again, even at a higher level, you might find yourself wasting a smoke when you don't need to. Why would I throw the smoke if they can't be top mid? You see what I'm saying? Now, if you're a higher level player watching this video, maybe you're at level 8, level 9, level 10, maybe you're competing in your first few seasons of ESCA League, and you think, Austin, I understand utility. This video has been pointless. But let me tell you something, you don't, because there's probably another version of mindlessly throwing nades that you're doing at a higher level, which is that whenever you play, maybe you're the apps player, you want to go apps every round, so you're going to throw this really cool utility set that you saw Magis throw in 2018. All right, cool. So I threw a lurk smoke, I threw a Van Molly. The B player, he's like, oh no, there could be somebody apps. And that's true, he could be. But after the 6th round in a row of you throwing this utility at the beginning of the round, the guy that's B is probably going to literally say to his his IGL or whoever his team is, don't worry guys, he does this every round. Oh, so he doesn't even care anymore. So you're losing a valuable smoke, a valuable molly, and you're not doing anything. So what I propose is that you change up the utility set. Maybe you throw this at the beginning of the first round that you have guns. And then the next time you wait a little bit, maybe 30 seconds, and then you throw it. Now it looks different. Maybe some rounds you don't throw it at all. And that's all about playing your utility in a way that actually takes advantage of what you're throwing. If you throw things at every single round, it's not going to do anything. So your main takeaways from this video is to make sure that you understand utility. That way, no matter what the situation is, you'll always be able to throw nades that are going to benefit yourself, and make sure that you're not throwing nades that don't have a purpose. You're not just mindlessly throwing grenades, and everything that you throw has a reason. One more thing, just as a bonus for the end of the video, is that you might be watching a lot of pro games recently. There's been a lot of tournaments. One of the things that you might have noticed if you've been watching is that it seems like people always know how to throw nades from everywhere that they are. And this is exactly what I've been saying, which is that these aren't lineups. This is just simply the understanding of that sometimes you have no choice but to just freehand a lineup. With hours and hours and hours of practicing, you'll always be able to throw a nade. But now you can think about it a little bit more and say, well, actually, I've seen a lot of missed nades in Pro CS as well. And these are paid tier 1 professionals. And the reason that is because sometimes it's the only way forward. Maybe I'm not in a good situation. Maybe the pros, maybe, you know, whoever it is we need to go up connector right now. We have to go. We have a timing. We got an opening and we need to smoke off cat. That way we can go up. Well, pros are going to have an understanding of how to freehand nades, but even with that understanding, sometimes you are going to have situations where the pros will make mistakes and leave gaps because it's not perfect. And even if it's not perfect, it doesn't matter because they know that it's better to throw their utility than to not throw it at all. If you enjoyed this style of video of me running around a map and yapping, make sure you let me know in the comments below. If you have any questions about utility, how you can practice, if you think I'm wrong, if you just want to talk about it, make sure you guys leave all of that in the comments below. I'll be making sure to monitor the comment section for the next couple of days, so any questions will be answered, and that's going to be it for me. Appreciate you guys for coming to watch the video, and if you did enjoy, make sure you guys subscribe. That's it. I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Much love.